The Taliban has said that the United States has agreed to provide humanitarian aid to support Afghanistan, though the US claims no agreement has actually been made yet, but discussions were held. Joining me live to discuss is our US contributor, Michael Ware. Michael, good to see you. So you've got the Americans who are making some progress on this front, and then you've got the EU as well, which is pledging about $1.5 billion.
Yeah, well, that's right, Peter. We saw over the weekend that the Taliban had their first face-to-face meeting with the Americans in Doha, in Qatar, since the American withdrawal. Now, the Taliban came out and said the Americans have committed to giving us humanitarian aid. Well, the White House corrected that and said we had a robust conversation about aid, but we didn't make any promises. They said the conversation focused on counter-terrorism and security. But fast forward 24 hours, and today the G20 leaders had a special virtual summit on Afghanistan. And at that summit, the EU announced it's giving €1 billion in humanitarian aid to Afghanistan. Now, the problem here is, who do you give it to in that country? The EU is trying to make it clear that they don't want to give it to the Taliban to distribute, but they want to give it to the NGOs on the ground. That's obviously going to be something the Taliban doesn't like, and that's going to have to be negotiated. But there's two schools of thought here. Why are we propping up Afghanistan, which is ruled by the Taliban in the first place? Well, there is one argument from the heart, and the president of the European Union Commission spoke to this, where she said that the Afghan people shouldn't have to pay for the actions of the Taliban. And the German Chancellor Angela Merkel said, look, the banks there are on the verge of collapse. We can't let that happen. We've got to give them some of this money, because otherwise we have no way for the aid agencies to access any kind of funding. But then there's another argument, and this is an argument from the head, and this is about strategic insecurity. As a senior official from Qatar said, we don't want to see a rerun of what happened after the Soviets pulled out in the 80s. The Taliban took over, and Afghanistan became a breeding ground for terrorists. And it's from there that Al-Qaeda launched its attacks on 9/11. So, look, there's a lot going on as the international community is manoeuvring around the Taliban and probing and prodding them and trying to figure out how and if they can move forward with this new hardline government.
All right, Michael Ware, short and sweet today. We'll talk to you again soon.